very much. And thank goodness for this mic. I'm just getting over a cold, so I don't think I'd be able to truly moderate anything without the help of this amplifier. Delighted to be able to do this tonight, and delighted that our guests are here to help us through some troubled waters in DC. It's a new thing for the DC for Democracy, but we need to get ourselves informed, and these are people who are able to do that from, as you can tell from what Keith said about just the first two, the kinds of experience they have. This will not be like a presidential debate, I assure you. As one example, to avoid any suggestion that there are any gotchas, we actually shared the questions a couple days in advance, so they would know where we were coming from and have a chance to get ready to do it. I'm going to start off by asking a very open-ended kind of question for each of the panelists to respond to, and simply please share how your own life experiences shaped your views on violence and police community relations.
Do you mind,
Anita, would you like to begin?
do you mind sharing the mic for a second? We're getting more batteries.
We're going to share?
Just for a second. We're getting more batteries. I apologize.
Well, first of all, I'd like to recognize your organization as one that I have admired, and through some of your very active members have been in support of many of the issues that we share in common. So it's really my pleasure to be a part of your discussion and hopefully to continue to be a part of the organizational effort. I guess, ideas about police may be very different from some of us. I was raised in a small town in Englewood, New Jersey, and we lived on what may be considered different worlds. And the police was not one that we revered. It was when we saw the police coming, it was not, officer friendly. It was, Popo, is that what we call him now? Popo was not one that we admired. Fast tracking up to my personal experience as a mother rearing two African-American boys. And that experience, I will just say, would shape my attitude, unfortunately, toward the police. My son is a tall, bronze, African-American boy who had even though his mother had all of these lovely accomplishments, you understand, I'm not bragging, I'm just, informing, that all of these wonderful experiences, he somehow needed to be with other boys his age. And those boys his age were not, sitting in mama's living room watching TV. They were generally out in the community playing basketball, doing various things. Anyhow, fast forwarding, he was out on Mount Pleasant Street in Washington, D.C. with a number of his boys. And I don't know, I think that the police had some idea about the boys, and maybe just because they were boys, they came up on him, and they detained them. They detained my son, and he told the police, I live at 1937 Lamont Street. Now, if you know the Lamont and you know the park, it's right in the park, down near the backside of the zoo. Now, in their minds, an African-American youth did not live there. They would live either on the other side, 14th Street and so forth. But he said, I live at 1937 Lamont Street. So they, fast forwarding, they brought him to 1937 Lamont Street. And I came out. I said, officer, what is going on here? Look fast forward. Anyway, we had an encounter. I thought that I was director of the Office of Human Rights, master's degree from Howard University School of Social Work, and all of those great things. And he ended up saying, lady, I got enough room in this paddy car for you and your son. And anyway, my ideas have been colored by my personal experiences. I have come to understand that all police are not bad, but I'd like to see a couple new ones that don't fall in that category, but there are some. But I really understand that the police department has a role to play in implementing things in the district. But I do have to say that I feel that there is a disconnect between my views and some of the views of the police department.
Thank you. I think that was very informative. First I want to say thank you for having me. Am I too loud?
You're great.
I can hear it. I want to thank DC4 Democracy for having me tonight. I feel honored to be here. I just share my views. And I'm excited to speak on the panel here tonight. So I want to thank you all for having me. How did my experiences shape my views? I have a lot of experiences, both negative and positive, with DC Police Department. I think it started back. I grew up in a culture where you was always taught that you don't get along with the police for some reason, and we used to see the police as the bad guys. So when we used to play in the yard and things like that, somebody had to be the police. The police are always chase us and we hide and run, and so there's always that type of thing. And I think that DC early on tried to do some innovative things inside the schools. We had a side-by-side band inside the schools. Just come to DC public schools and play the drums and have assemblies. We used to have them come out and do things for May Day. They used to have Officer Friendly come out, McGruff the Crime Dog come out. And I think that, I guess as time went on, those things died off because we no longer have those strong programs anymore. And I had, since then I always tried to be, do the right thing. As a young man, my grandmother raised me in Southeast DC. I saw a lot of crime, a lot of violence, but I always tried to, I haven't always did the right thing, but I always tried to do the right thing. And one of my first negative experiences came when I was in college. I think it was late 2005 or 2006. And I was home for the weekend, and I was driving. And I had this car, I was young at the time, I had these big old rims on my car. And I was driving, I seen a whole row of police. It was DC police and PG police riding together, like on a line. So they was on Southern Avenue. So I came past South Capitol. When I turned, they turned. I said, when did PG start coming to DC? So I got a little nervous. And they put their lights on. And I was taking my best friend's grandmother to the store at the time. And they pulled me over. And it was a particular officer I used to see all the time. And he was like, he said, where the weed at? I said, where the weed at? I don't smoke weed, and during this time I'm trying to find because he never asked for license registration, and so I'm trying to find my registration because there's so many police officers. I'm kind of nervous, and so I'm looking for my license in my pocket, and he tries to pull me out the car through the window. So my seatbelt was on, so he was getting stuck. I was like, oh, what? I said, oh, it's about to get crazy out here. And so he's like, unbuckle your seatbelt. I said, am I under arrest? I go to the, you haven't seen my license registration, what's going on? He was like, step outside the car. And so I went to unbuckle my seatbelt, and he put his hand in and unlocked the door, and it snatched me out. And I called her my grandmother's really my best friend's grandmother. She's concerned, she's like, what's going on? And so they pulled me out, and one of the officers, So we get into a verbal altercation at this point, because I'm like, man, you've gone too far, you know. And he's like, man, so he arguing with me and another officer, and he said, you take him. He about your size, you take him. So when he said that to the other officer punched me in the face, and I fell. And when I fell, I felt somebody kick me. So someone kicked me in my ankle, and I was like, whoa. So next thing I know, they searching my car. They took all, I was home from school, so I had a lot of my things from college. They took all my bags out and threw them on the curb, all my clothes, everything outside on the curb. And so I'm just coming to like, whoa, what is really going on, you know? And then I asked to go to the hospital. So they searched my car, and they never asked my license, registration, or anything. So they searched my car, didn't find anything. And so they proceeded to leave. I said, I need to go to the hospital because when I tried to get up, my ankle was swollen. So they got back in their car, they left. And so I ended up going to the hospital at Howard on my own. I called the lieutenant there. He came and checked and verified my ankle was swollen. I had a bruise on my face. And I ended up suing DC, Trail Whites versus DC, and doing that situation right there. And that was one of the first experiences, but it wasn't my last. I actually have a current case against DC right now for a police assault on me. And this happened a few years ago at a turkey giveaway that Marion hosted in Ward 8, where police slammed my head in the trunk and bruised my shoulder. And so, you know, it's been an ongoing experience for me. And just last week, I got a phone call, and I'll end with this one, because I have a lot of stories about the police. But just last week, I got a phone call from some young man. I could tell there was a lot of yelling in the background. And he was like, Trey, you need to come up here. I'm like, come where? So I'm like, where are you? He was like, I'm on Alabama Avenue. I'm like, where? So he told me the landmark, and then I don't know what kind of situation I'm going into. I don't know if he getting into it with somebody else. I didn't know it was the police until I got there. There's about 20 police out there. Then it's about 20 young men. They're yelling at each other. So the young man who called me, he's kind of the leader of a lot of them young men. I pulled him to the side and I said, you're not going to win it out here. I said, we need to go to 7D to figure out what the issues are, have a conversation, file a complaint there. So he was like, we're going to go up there. And so I was proud of them because they walked from Alabama Avenue all the way up to 7D. It was probably about 20 of them, probably about 8 came. And we got up there and he told me that the police officer said he was going to shoot him in the face. And so he's telling me what's going on, and you know, I'm asking for by this time I didn't call the assistant chief room, since he said the commander or somebody, the watchtower commander, was going to come meet me, but it was taking all day. When it was taking all day to come, the tempers was just flaring because we was asking for the police report, and the lady was like not trying to tell us where they were, and when she did tell us where they were, he asked, can we file them there? She said no. I'm like, no, you can file a police report at the police station. I mean, a police complaint at the police station. And long story short, we've been exchanging emails all week, and so it's been a trying time, even this week. So I think MPD has to do better. I think it has to be more accountability in the police station, because it's creating a culture. Because a lot of officers I knew back then was just outright disrespectful, not having a lot of concern as to me being a citizen. But I even got arrested when I was on the school board for what was that for? That was for, it's something about you can't, they said I was barred from the property, unlawful entry. They arrested me for unlawful, by this time I was in the newspaper, they was writing real bad about me, and they ended up dropping the case because I was never barred from, I actually had a key. I had a contract with DC Housing Authority to provide services on their property in Woodland Terrace. I had an office, a cabinet, computer in there, so I'm trying to figure out when I was barred, and so they locked me up for that. So it's always some tension with MPD and Trail Whites. I'm just hopefully that we can kind of.
Do you think like the first time when you sued them, do you think they kept that in mind as retribution?
Yeah, I think even before that incident, like I was always reading, so I was always challenging the officers when things was going wrong in the community, and so he was like, one of the officers said, "Oh, look at the street lawyer guy." And so they kind of knew me, especially the jump out units or the vice units. Like they always come in. They stick their hand in your pants, checking you for drugs. They throw you down on the ground. They do whatever they wanted to do. And so as a young man, you know, I'm 5'2" now. At this time, I'm probably about 5 feet. So I'm like, this is too much. And for those who don't know, like I'll be standing there and I'll maybe conversating. They keep walking towards me and want me to keep backing up. And at some point, I'm like, I'm not backing up anymore. You know, I'm like, what's going on? They're trying to force you to do something. I'm like, man, you know, it just be aggressive behavior because they want to lock you up, really. And so that's the culture I deal with.
Thank you. both Anita and Chan.